Hello, everyone. This is Stephen Kelley. This is Stephen D. Kelley Show. This is Truth Cat Radio, www.truthcatradio.com. It's October 14th, 2021, 6:01 p.m. my time. How are you doing? Let me see. What's a good title for tonight's show? It doesn't really matter. I'll give you a title. Well, no, we'll save it. I gotta tell you, I'm still, how should I say, affected by the last show. Affected. I was just listening to it. I know a lot of you were. I knew that a lot of you were. You're welcome, Rob. A lot of you were affected by the show. You were touched. You were inspired. And so I just want to reflect on that for a minute because it's sort of going to lead us where we go here tonight. But a few things. The material itself, as I said, is very important. And I think that to this day, I mean, even now, I'm still kind of taken back by how something can be out there and yet it could be there so long and yet you could still be affected by it. It really changes your outlook if you're willing to accept these things. Obviously, it sure changes the Christmas story, but a few things. One, it takes a lot out of me to do a show like that. I know a lot of you, I know a lot of you enjoy this stuff and you look forward to it and you enjoy it, whatever I say. And obviously, I can't have content of the same caliber every time. And anything that we try to do is important. I feel like the only thing I do or the only thing I live for now is to talk to you. At the corn lady. Now you can call that teaching, I suppose. But ultimately, a lot of you out there think that you're learning something. No. Learning is an action. Gaining knowledge, gaining wisdom, absorbing information, which is actually a better way of putting it than learning. In spite of the overall positive response to the last show, there was still somebody, and I really find it hard how anyone could not like it. I'm not suggesting that it wasn't liked, but someone made a comment in the Telegram group. I don't know if they're still there because I think I had a pretty rude response, but they said, it was the Irish guy, that's it, yeah. He said that it was a very interesting show and all that, but it's fraudulent. The Gospel of Thomas is fraudulent. Now, right away, if you say something like that to me, I'm triggered. I'm pissed. Because obviously, historically, the very nature of why we were even discussing the material was because of the controversial nature of the material. And a lot of work went into trying to provide as much history and context and background and different ways of looking at it from an unbiased and objective way as possible. And yet still, some fool would say it was fraudulent. Now, here's the thing. And, of course, this is one person. This doesn't reflect on everybody. But at the same time, it's a good example or a good illustration of the type of change that needs to go into our thinking and our learning and our absorbing of information. Now, my immediate thought was, who are you that you could proclaim that this was fraudulent? Were you standing behind the fraudster that wrote it? Did you know Thomas personally and he confided in you that it wasn't his work? And what are you suggesting is fraudulent? The words of Jesus are not the words of Jesus? These are not the words of Jesus? Is that what you're saying is fraudulent? Are you saying the source is fraudulent? Obviously, this person wasn't, when you say it's fraudulent. That's the level of mental immaturity and handicap is monstrous. And this is something that obviously is probably the most infuriating. Now, even after putting up that show, which I actually was a little bit longer than usual, and when I did it, I processed it pretty quick, and I did a little extra work on it. I didn't give you any pretty pictures, but I I tried to make the sound as good as possible and get it out there for you as quick as possible. And yet, I think that it's going to have a big impact. It's going to have, it'll go on for the ages. It'll be a real pearl that I was tossing out there. And yet, on YouTube, which is the main format for its, dissemination, what do I see? I don't know, 340 hits, something like that. Nothing really big. People could say, well, they're hiding. I don't know. Like in the radio tonight, obviously there's X number of people listening, and we can suspect that there's probably quite a few more people. Oh my goodness, I've got a cat. Sorry. Oh my God, one of the cats is on top of the bird cage, and he's discovered the ornaments hanging about a foot from the ceiling. It's crazy. I feel like it doesn't matter what effort I put into it or how valuable the material is, it's still going to be hardly ever seen by anybody. The impact is going to be very small. And even though there's a small amount of people, relatively small, 1,000 or so or less, that are enjoying this stuff, it's just not getting out there. And it makes me wonder if that will ever change. So I have to address that tonight because there's a few things that I'm going to address that we seem to talk about a lot, but needs to be drilled. And that is the why we're here, the mission. Is failure actually real? But the first thing I want to start with is just the action of learning. Because you think you're learning, you think someone's teaching you, but are you learning? Do you actually know how to learn? So I have to revisit some lessons that I had to learn. And of course, this was at the hands of the NSA, I guess. I always, I thought it was the CIA, but it turned out to be the NSA. But I had to learn a few lessons really quick. And I think that anytime someone is trying to absorb information, that they need to follow this protocol. So the guy that suggested it was fraudulent, he could be anyone. He could be just a fool that was foolish enough to say it out loud, but he could be the majority. People that have preconceived notions, it doesn't matter what the information is, they will stamp it fraudulent or not fraudulent, interesting, not interesting, entertaining, not entertaining. This is going to apply to everything. Any question you could ask. Someone asks, what is the nature of God, the Creator? To even begin to try to answer that, you first need to prepare the person that is going to receive the information, because that is the big handicap with everyone, is they just don't know how to receive the information. And the first thing you need to do is you need to be objective. You need to be able to hear the information, store the information. You can process it. You don't need to process it immediately, but you first need to hear it, and then you need to store it. You need to record it into your brain. And you do not label the information fraudulent, iffy, questionable, whatever. You have no information. You are a computer. You are a hard drive. The hard drive does not care about the content of the information. It assigns it a place, and it brings it back when it's needed. You need to do the same thing. Because, as I was saying before the kitty distracted me, it's like trying to understand the nature of God. You can't do it. You're not ready. You don't have the tools. You're not prepared to learn that information. Your hard drive isn't big enough, and it's not formatted correctly. So, you need to start at the very, very beginning. You need to start with the very, very basics. And the first basic lesson for storing that information, for being a good computer, is you need to stop attaching your emotion and your feelings to the information. You store it away. It may not even be something that your brain can comprehend. It may be so far beyond what you've been programmed to understand that it boggles your mind, or it seems suspicious because it seems scarily close to something that someone said was bad. Don't let the other person's emotions and feelings cloud your ability to intake information. My pastor said something, so that's going to affect my ability to record information in my brain. You can't do that. Now, someday, God willing, you will have been lucky enough to receive a certain amount of information, a certain type of information, and a circumstance will happen where you will be able to retrieve that information and said, oh, suddenly this information makes sense. This information corresponds and verifies this experience that I'm having right now. Or this experience is verifying this information that was given to me so long ago that I fortunately did not attach any feelings or labels to, so that I still have it. I retained it. You clutter that information with your emotions and your feelings, you're not going to be able to use it. That's rule number one. Now, this is not as important, but at the same time, in the grand scheme of learning, I think it's ultimately going to be something that you have to experience. Prove me wrong, but you have to stop thinking that you actually know something. Like someone that says, this is fraudulent. Only a Sith deals in definitives like that, just to use that silly term. How could you possibly know? Again, I threw myself off with that silly movie thing. But when you think you've learned everything, you've actually turned off your ability to learn. And the very nature of learning would suggest that you are a student, you are in learning mode. You do not decrease that or reach a I'm full point, I can't learn anymore, I'm done learning because I learned it all. That does not ever happen because, as I mentioned before, the human brain isn't capable of learning it all. And the biggest rule of all is that eventually you're going to have to learn to be able to toss it all away and start over, because that is something that happens. And if you're lucky, you won't have to go through it more than once in your life. But it's important. And if you haven't gone through that process at least once in your life, you're never really woke. You haven't really started on the process or the path, because the programming that you've been receiving your whole life, until you reach that point that you break and you start over, you can't say that you haven't let it go. So that's pretty important. And I think that you also need to look at some of the things you don't want to look at. When you're trying to achieve enlightenment, which I think is a pretty word for knowledge, filling your head up with information, you need to be able to process the good, the bad, and the ugly. When I was starting on this path a long time ago, and I would seek out people that were trying to learn and grow, I found that they used to say things like, don't give that bad, dark stuff any energy, which basically meant they ignored it and acted like it didn't exist. Now, as someone who's dedicated their life to trying to free the children from the ugliness that we haven't seen, we don't want to imagine, but we know it needs to stop, it's very difficult to get people interested, especially the woke people. By the same token, I'm not looking for people who are focused on the fantastic or the gruesome or the morbid. Obviously, I'm not here for entertainment. Sorry for the pause, as my brain's just kind of shot today. Well, I'm going to go over some of the questions and some of the things that people were talking about, or when I was earlier asking for ideas to talk about. One of the first ones was Tiger Lily. She mentioned Gethsemane. For those of you who are not aware, the Garden of Gethsemane was the place where Jesus went to pray, meditate, come to terms with his imminent crucifixion. This, I believe, was right after his Last Supper. And of course, everyone knows that it was a very traumatic night. A lot happened, and there was a lot of betrayal and things between people he trusted. But for me, I talk about that because symbolically, I will say, for me, I feel like going to Vegas is kind of like that, because I'm expecting him to try to do something. And I'm not trying to get you guys to get excited or worry about it, but I need to address these things because it's kind of important, because you have to realize that, like I said in the last show, we're all very transient. And if I've only got a tiny amount of people listening to me, what difference does it make? Okay? And at the same time, and I repeat myself over and over, no accidents. Okay? Nothing happens by accident. Nobody steals something from you. It doesn't, you don't get cheated. This was all predetermined in advance. This is just a thing that plays out. So you have to stop thinking like someone's going to make a mistake or do something wrong. Go to the whatever, okay? What happens is supposed to happen. I'm trying to tie in some of these questions that you have, but not that easy. Well, I'm sorry. I just noticed that there's a lot of this stuff you guys are asking the same thing. All right, well, let me just say this, is that, again, that's not the sort of thing I expect anybody to worry about or get excited about. But at the same time, you know, being transient, this is one of the reasons why I guess I'm a little sad that I don't have as many people as I would like coming to this event here, you know, because people are busy, they can't afford it, there's something, you know. And I know in back in like this Gospel of Thomas, there's all kinds of words that are very suited for this thing. And like the host who sent his servant out to gather the guests for dinner, and they all had excuses for why they couldn't come to dinner and break bread because they had business to take care of. That's exact same damn thing. There's another thing he said that I think is very appropriate. He said, there's going to come a day when you're going to look for me and I'm not going to be there. Okay. So I don't really feel that selfish. And I know it's expensive because, yeah, I'm stressed out over having to pay for all this stuff. Again, the business aspect. But would it make any difference? Would it make any difference if you thought this was going to be your last chance? Probably not. It's just the nature of the way this stuff is. Now, the thing that I'm excited about for the Vegas gig is that I get to get on stage. Probably won't be on stage. David's like that. He never has a damn stage. I'll have to stand on the floor. Poor lighting, probably. We'll see. But is that it's like talking to you right now. Okay, you're not there. I can't see you. I can't connect to you. There's energy and information going back and forth. There's a little connection, but it's not the same thing. Okay, it's like suggesting that if I do a show and I put it up on YouTube, how many people will watch it? How many people listen? Now, my original Getty lecture from way back when, 9 years ago this November, heck, that thing's probably got 1 million people have seen it now. So I think there's a certain quality to an event like that. And I'm not suggesting the event's a quality thing, but I think that as a speaker, when you get up on stage and you're speaking to a room full of people, I think there's I guess it's an economic thing, because to the viewer, they think, well, wow, these people actually paid to go hear this person speak in this place. It must be worth listening to, and I'm going to watch this video because this will be like me saving money. I didn't have to go to this event and I get to watch it. Well, whatever, value added. Or maybe it is just better. I personally can't wait. I've been waiting, thinking for months. I think about all the things I want to say and how I'm going to say it and connect and all that good stuff. But it's fleeting. It'll come and go. It'll be over here. Today was the last day to get the discount on the rooms. If you're interested, you better go do it. But again, maybe I'm not thinking right. Maybe I don't attach value. Maybe I should be hanging out with some richer people and say, hey, you guys, go get your room at a fancy hotel and come to my event and spend all this money and blah, blah, blah. You can afford it. Sure, why not? Bring your credit card. Anyway, of course, I can't relate. I'm in poverty, and maybe most of the people I talk to are relatively humbled. But I forget. Maybe there are people out there with money that would be interested in this stuff, but I don't know. All right, so back to learning. Here's the other thing. I do have 380, close to 400 videos just in the Truth Cat. Just of me speaking, doing an hour, 2-hour shows on Truth Cat Radio. That's a lot of content. And then of course, there's probably even more content that I did on Revolution Radio and stuff that's recorded that's out there on the internet. So you guys are going to have to excuse me if as much as I enjoy talking about this stuff, trying to come up with something unique to record, it's like there's so much out there. And I'm not getting the hits. I'm not, if you guys are all really learning, how come you're not all hitting those videos over and over, And here's the other thing. So many of you have said, wow, I really enjoyed that video. I really enjoyed that video. But how come you didn't make a comment on the YouTube and say, hi, it's me? Like Skip called me today. Skip Zion called me today. He doesn't get to listen. He struggles to listen to the show live, and he depends on listening to it on YouTube. And, hopefully that will survive for a little bit longer. But, if you're watching it on YouTube, make a comment. Why can't you make a comment? Hit the like button. I think I had like 40 likes on my last video. What the heck? I don't get it, people. It's just a little bit of effort to like a video or to make a comment. And at the same time, again, I don't, if the show touches you, I know my effort was valuable and all that. But at the same time, I just don't think you guys understand, and a lot of must not appreciate the effort that goes into it. Anyway, kind of like healing. Healing doesn't hurt, but there is a little bit of energy. I mean, if I'm doing like a serious healing thing on someone, sure, I feel a little bit whoa afterwards, but it's no big deal. And at the same time, I'm not really getting a lot of that anymore. It's kind of weird. And the other day, I had somebody that I hadn't talked to in a long time come to me for healing out of the blue. I've been kind of thinking about him. I knew he was in trouble. But he said something about, I'm going to give you some money. I was like, wait a minute, hold on here. That totally screwed everything up, because first thing he did was he said, let me know when you're going to do it. What do you want to let me know what? So then you can calculate how much relief you get, so you can figure out how much you want to send me. That's kind of ridiculous. That screws it. It screws it all up. You can't put a price on this stuff, and it's not about performance. Just before the show here, right now I was talking, I did some work on a guy here a little bit before the show. He's having some lung issues, asthma. He just wrote to me and just said, I feel so much better, yada, yada. He says, wow, why didn't I think about talking to you a couple of days ago? It's like, yeah, why? Okay, why are you guys waiting? Anyway. Well, 30 minutes. Yeah, I'm not really going to go too far into it tonight because, again, the inspiration thing, yeah, I do get some inspiration, and I think the biggest lesson that I'm going to try to get to you guys tonight in just a short period of time is that instead of sitting there and trying to learn something, you need to kind of first go back and work on your learning. Learn how to learn. Okay, I think that's the biggest problem. Is it doesn't really help me to teach you all this stuff if you haven't mastered the art of learning yet. Okay, so listening, of course, is number one. Do not attach your emotion to it. And I suppose if you enjoy it and you're touched and moved and it resonates with you, that helps. But it's not always going to resonate with you. And if I touch you and I'm able to make it interesting and draw you in, that's great. But we can't always do that. And learning can't be contingent on how it affects you. Sometimes, just like the Getty business, you've got to learn about the stuff that's undesirable. There's no way we can correct all the problems in the world and make the bad guys go away if we don't understand what it is that they're doing. They do a very good job of hiding it underground. We have to expose that. Well, I'm looking forward to talking about that in Vegas, really, and then I can probably what I'm going to do for my first speech is talk about everything that's happened in the last 9 years for myself and for the mission. When I say everything, I mean how the world has changed as a result, or directly or indirectly because of the revelation about what's going on down there. I don't expect too many people there to like it. I hope I have more of you guys there because I'm fighting against greed. I'm going into a very greedy place with hopefully with some money to eat. Gosh, I hope I'm not, I'm not going to worry about it too much. I'll just hit on somebody here. But anyway, we'll be fine. But it's going to be different. And hopefully I will be able to light a fire one way or the other over there. So I'm kind of counting the days to that. Beyond that, once again, I will say thank you. And I'm just going to say that those of you that have contributed significantly, to me, it's a little bit amazing because I haven't had to worry about the little things here for a little while. And even though but I don't do anything, so I don't spend any money on anything. But so this is a little strange for me. And I'm hoping that in these last few days before the event happens that more activity will happen in that regard. And at the same time, I'm hoping when I don't come back from Vegas, I won't be completely tapped and starving or, broke, so to speak. Anyway, all right. So obviously, I could talk about the coming event often, because this is going to be a big deal. And I'm not trying to advertise, but at the same time, it's kind of on my mind. So it's important for me to try to reach out to you guys about that as much as possible. And hopefully I'll have more of your bodies so I have more of your energy there. All right, guys, listen, as you can see, that's about where I'm at right now. I do appreciate all of you that got to me after the last show and said how much you enjoyed it. And I hope that you'll process what I told you tonight and you will be able to learn even better the next time we do something. Okay. All right, let's leave it at that for now, okay, if you don't mind.
Would you like an announcement?
Yeah, it's going to be short, okay?
Yes.
That's just, relatively.
Oh, well, TruthCat Radio Network is truthcatradio.com.
You want to have a commercial?
Yeah.
Okay.
TruthCat Radio Network.
Okay, go. Sure.
The Stephen D. Kelley Show, Thursdays night, p.m. Eastern Time and 6 p.m. Western Time. Telegram, official Occupied iGetty page, Skype, Stephen D. Kelley, Anaheim, Los Angeles, California, the one for the radio show. Remember the new PayPal, Stephen Kelley 714 at yahoo.com. STEVENKELLEY 714 at yahoo.com. Please follow the route for a payment to friends or family because it is not a business transaction. Email is law17gun at aol.com. LAW17GUN at AOL.com.
Okay, that's enough.
Steve, you will very luckily have very good support for eating in Las Vegas, and you can also go do some shopping.
Well, I'm not shopping. Did you say shopping?
On your
shopping, huh?
Yeah, you can get some food on your
room. Well, yeah, I'll bring. Don't worry, I'll bring an ice box with some tea and stuff in it, water and things like that, so I won't starve. All right, listen. I just want to say here's enough of that. I won't have to cut that out. But I just noticed. First of all, I have Brooklyn here in the house. Besides Buffalo, of course, I have Buffalo, but Brooklyn. I got somebody from Brooklyn listening. Oh, Manhattan, Illinois. So that's interesting. Brooklyn, New York. Someone actually that was Skip when he called today. He goes, "Gee, it would be nice if you could have some callers." Well, guys, this is your big chance. Brooklyn, why don't you call in? Chicago, I don't even see you. But if you guys wanted to call in, now is your time to do it, okay? Otherwise, we're going to have a real short show. You could call and say hi. Netherlands, you could call and say hi, too, That's one of the things we pay for is the Skype to be able to actually take those calls. When I changed the Yahoo, I had to change over all my Skype calling plans. I forgot that I had to have that stuff for this, and that's two computers. It's this server and my personal computer both have to have these Skype calling plans so that we can do this stuff. But Aberdeen, what is this? Aberdeen, where's that? Aberdeen. That's at United Kingdom. Hi. Interesting. I think, a lot of people tuned in for the last show, and that's why I'm a little kind of surprised that I didn't have, over 1,000 people watching the video. It wasn't sensational enough. And that may be one of the reasons why there's extra listeners, which I do appreciate. I guess because the content's becoming more important, more people are hearing about me, which is cool, I guess. But I don't know, guys. I hope that it doesn't get to be that I get completely frustrated and at the end of my rope before everybody finally gets on board. That would be kind of uncool. But anyway, hopefully that won't happen. I don't want to devote every show to yelling at you guys and saying, do more, do more. But what else can I do? Unfortunately, a lot of people that get involved in this stuff, they kind of come and go, which is, I mean, that's the way it is with humans, of course. They move on, they do other things, they find a new whatever. But I don't know, this should be forever. For me, it's forever. I would hope that more of you guys would feel that way. I don't know. Anyway, okay. I don't see any callers. I'm not going to drag anybody in here, but I do want to thank you guys for listening. And I do want to thank you for all the kind words, but I do depend on you for inspiration. Like I said, the last show, the Thomas, Gospel of Thomas, that was a suggestion that I got, I think it was the day before. So kudos and thank yous and special pat on the back to the person once again that made that very insightful suggestion. I hope more people like that come forward and help inspire me, because gosh, it look at all the people that were affected and inspired by it. I still am. Okay. All right. Well, again, as you said, if you are able to help out, please use the new PayPal, because I think there's probably still people that might be sending money to the old PayPal, and I don't know if my kid has taken the money. I don't know. I don't like to think about stuff like that, but it's Stephen Kelley 714 at yahoo.com. And please, when you spell Kelley, spell it with Kelley, okay? Even when I do interviews, they spell my name with a Ly. It's like, oh, come on. All right. Anyway, once again. Oh, yeah, and also, as you said, please join the Twitter group. A lot of people, I get emails from people, they've discovered me out there, and they say, gosh, I'd like more information. I want to learn more, and they want special one-on-one tutoring. The best you're going to do is to go on the Telegram group, because there you can actually ask me questions directly, easily, and when I answer you, other people can benefit. Okay? That's one of the bad things about this whole teaching thing, is that everyone wants to be the exclusive learner. It's something that has to be spread, or it really doesn't serve. It's kind of like the other thing that Thomas quoted Jesus as saying, if you know something, get on your rooftops and shout it, kind of like I'm doing. I don't see a lot of people up on the rooftop shouting this stuff. Thank God for the ones who are. Let's see, I can think of one. It's got that nice page. What is it? Children Under the Getty Museum. That's the kind of stuff I need. More than that. Could you imagine if there were 100 web pages out there? When I say web pages, I'm not talking about Twitter or Facebook or something of this nature. I'm talking about a .com. People who have actually got a domain that's Getty related, and they are paying to have that up there, and they are putting content onto it. It's not going to be removed or censored. I need more of that, okay? I need people to, when they go to Google or whatever and they type in Getty, I need to go to pages like that, not the museum, all right? That's how we spread the word. That's how we teach. That's how we share the information, all right? I guess in closing, this lesson of learning is the business of being a teacher, and that is, if you're a professional student, and we all should be trying to never stop learning. There's no reason to stop learning, but if you are in the process of learning, you need to share what you've learned. You've heard something, shout it from the rooftops. Share it. This is how we all learn. We take turns being student and teacher. It's mutual. Serving others. You scratch my back, I'll scratch yours. That's the actual definition of friendship. A friendship is when two people gain from each other. There's mutual beneficial gain. You're both getting something from it. Each one's getting something from the other person. Now, obviously, in the purest sense, of course, this is knowledge or love or something like that, obviously. I don't want to say somebody's paying for something that someone else is giving, but that's how that works. All right, people, I hope you've gained something from me. I hope you keep gaining from me. And I hope that when I'm gone, if that's what it takes, maybe there'll be a little more value to what I'm trying to teach you. Because right now, it's like Jesus said, you're not a prophet. You prophets aren't accepted in their own villages. I need to get out of my village more. I got to stop preaching to the village. I got to start preaching to other villages. Can you guys help me with that? Give it a shot. All right. Once again, all of you that tuned in tonight, lots and lots of people that tuned in, thank you so much. Okay. And if you're disappointed about the content tonight, don't be disappointed. We'll do more exciting stuff next week, hopefully. But like someone said in the group, no matter what comes out, it's going to be inspirational one way or the other, and you're going to learn something. So, by gosh, learn how to learn. That's what tonight's show is all about. Go back and perfect your ability to learn. And then maybe you can go over some of my stuff that you haven't listened to yet and pick some things out. Pick up on some knowledge that you missed because of something. Oh, you guys are starting to drop off. All right, I guess that's it. All right, you guys. Once again, my name is Stephen D. Kelley. This is Truth Cat Radio, www.truthcatradio. We are the Stephen D. Kelley Show, and it's still October 14th. Well, Halloween coming up, 2021. It's almost 7. It's only 6:47. All right, you guys, I'll talk to you next week. Okay, thanks. Tune in. And make a comment on the YouTube, please. My gosh, say hello. All right, I'll talk to y'all soon. All right, good night. God bless. Adios and goodbye.